Hi, and welcome to the War Bunker.
Hi, and welcome to our channel.
As you can see, we've actually been recording videos for a few years, but we've decided to actually kind of up the ante a little bit, haven't we?
Yes.
And we've decided that our games room needed a bit of a rework. You might tell, although we're in New Zealand, we are actually British originally. We've kind of given it a redecorating, and we're trying to work on our videos and our content a lot more. We had a busy year last year, more busy assembling really than playing. We've been putting a lot of preparation into this. We'd just like to take you around the bunker itself. As you can see, we've got a whiteboard there.
Which will be used for later.
For keeping scores and stuff.
Yeah.
I've got whiteboard pens actually upstairs, I meant to say. Over here is where we keep all our scenery, which we're going to talk to you a little bit about later on. But as you can see, we've got a wide selection. And here in the centre is where the magic happens. Ah, look at it. Our games table. I actually don't know how big that is. Don't get your tape measure out. Yes, we have our trusty tape measures, our templates, our box of dice, and then most importantly the armies that we play with here. So we'd like to use this episode really to introduce ourselves a little bit, who we are, what we want to get out of this channel. The focus of the channel really is on war and wargaming. One of the reasons we changed the site a little bit is we're hoping to do we're both really enthused by history, and we want to do a little bit more coverage, potentially to do a little bit of particularly New Zealand's history, and go out and about a bit with a camera, because we've been researching it and some of it's quite cool and interesting and fascinating. So let's introduce a little bit about ourselves. Hi there, so I'm Mike, Cameron's father. I've been wargaming since I think 1980 something. The 80s should give you an idea that it's been quite a while. Yeah, one of the first generation people that played Warhammer 40,000. Hated the Eldar when they came out. I used to live actually right next to Nottingham. We used to be there for Games Day quite a lot. So Rick Priestley, who wrote the first edition, I used to always corner him and moan. Yeah, I was one of those kind of moany gamers, I'm afraid. And go, why do you make such crappy rules for Orcs, and why do you always make such special rules for Eldar? It's because I played Eldar at the time, and it kind of peeved me that each new kind of supplement for the rules seemed to make the Orcs kind of a little bit weirder and crappy. You know, something like roll d6 on a 1, you explode. Yeah, kind of annoyed. Especially when Space Marines were at the time Space Marines weren't like they are now, but they were pretty tough. The armies I play actually, ironically now, I'm only just getting back into Orcs, but really I tend to play Space Marines a lot. And also I'm looking into getting into Dark Eldar. We've got an army that needs a lot of care and attention, and I'm trying not to get sidetracked by that until I've finished the Orc army. I've well and truly finished my Marine army. I think I've got a Space Marine army of about 250 soldiers or something. It's time to stop. It's time to move on.
Almost 3 chapters worth.
Three companies worth, yeah. A quarter of a chapter. So yeah, time to move on from Space Marines. They're great to play, but really no more collecting them. And every time I bump and I buy a new one, I go, oh god, no, you're gonna have to paint. And I'm actually quite sick of space. It's a bit of a, as you can imagine, after 300, yeah, I'm a bit sick of painting Space Marines. Typically in games, I'm in charge of the camera, so you won't. This is a rare look at me. You won't see me up that often. And typically the camera's always pointing from this direction because we try and keep a single view. If we twist the camera around too much, it can be quite confusing because well, I thought they were over there. For myself, I work in IT. And actually, ironically, I have worked in electronic wargaming for the military, so I've got a bit of a background there. Historically, my interests are the English Civil War, which I think was a very fascinating and turbulent time politically. I also have a deep fascination with the submarine warfare. Submarine warfare is something I know a lot, and funnily enough, my granddad shares a fascination with it as well. And you would think by that then I'd be telling you, and my granddad served in the war, but in actual fact he was a miner during the war. But he was in Liverpool, which were hit a lot by the submarine attacks, and I think that's where his interest really came. And we used to have great conversations about it. Obviously, because of that, I do know some Second World War history, but not really as much as Cameron.
Hi, so I'm Cameron. I'm usually the one who's at the receiving end of the camera.
The presenter, I like to call it.
The presenter. And as you can see, I'm sitting on the opposite side today just to give it a try.
Is it comfortable?
It's weird, actually, to be honest. Yeah, but I'm a history and classics student. Yeah, I enjoy history. I think history gives you a better knowledge of the world today and can stop stuff happening in the future.
Yeah, it allows you to notice.
It just gives you
notice when patterns are happening, and didn't something similar to this happen about a few hundred years ago, and it didn't end well.
Yeah. So I got into wargaming about 8 years ago. I remember the first models we got, which were they were orcs. Orcs and
Space Marines.
Oh, were they Space Marines? Okay.
Orcs and Space Marines.
They were Space Marines.
You can't escape Orcs and Space Marines.
Yeah, they were the first two off eBay, which is,
yeah, back in the UK.
Back in the UK, and they were probably the best thing I have seen, because I used to play computer strategy games like Middle Earth, Battle for Middle Earth, and stuff like that, and the Dawn of War games. So yeah, and once it became like, because I always liked board games like Risk, and
we've got every kind of Risk you can imagine. We've got normal Risk. Is there a World War II one? We've got a Narnia one.
Yeah,
we've got Star Wars one.
Star Wars one. We had Axis and Allies. That's the other one. Axis and Allies. Axis and Allies was awesome.
We should actually revisit the board games.
Yeah, that would be.
There's a few things.
Yeah.
So Axis and Allies. We've got Iron Tide, which is an amazing game.
Yeah, amazing game. Although I haven't played that many games with it.
We played enough. Even my wife, his mom, she's a demon with it. Whereas, for instance, what's the one you were talking about just before? Axis and Allies.
Axis and Allies.
Brilliant game. It takes forever to get the board ready.
Yeah. So, going from board games to miniatures on tables was like, what? Amazing. So yeah, that's how I pretty much got started into wargaming. And as you can see from the channel, I have an Imperial Guard army, a Tau army, and an upcoming Elder army. Dun, dun.
Yeah, a very upcoming Elder army.
Yeah, because in the stages of about 20 models.
He's decided to repaint his Tau before he gets around to the Elder.
Yeah.
This might seem dysfunctional, but this is classic wargamer behaviour. You build an army of 300 people and then you decide to repaint a lot of them.
Well, I like the problem is why I was like, oh, you know what, I should change the paint scheme, is because I like the proper Tau set colour scheme, but the problem is everyone does it. So I want to do something different. As you can see from the Imperial Guard, they're completely different, and I don't think anyone's done that.
Yeah, should we talk a bit about the Imperial Guard?
Yeah.
I'll pass you one just so that you
you
can see it. This one because it's better painted. Do you want to show it?
So mine are red and white, and they're based on the British Empire pretty much. throughout the ages, like American Revolution, Zulu conflict, pretty much through that 18 to 1900 period, pretty much is my colour scheme represented through the Imperial Guard.
And you've been quite painstaking about researching it as well.
Yeah, so I make sure I get the right colours and historically, well, not historically accurate, but accurate enough for, yeah.
So pretty much in the era where camouflage didn't matter.
Yeah, camouflage didn't matter, and I think that's kind of a good idea for the Imperial Guard because, you know, you have so much manpower, so it's like, why would you need camouflage? So, yeah, as a history student, I am very fascinated in World War II in general, and, you know, rise of Hitler, the Japanese invading China, whatever's in World War II, I enjoy a lot. As I mentioned before, the British Empire is I very like learning about it because it's
fascinating.
Coming from Britain, and it's weird because Britain was a superpower, and then America has now become a superpower in itself. So it's weird to see the change, or well, learn about the change, to be honest. And I also like to learn about the Roman Empire because a lot of it flows through to the British Empire itself. Because, you know, Romans conquered quite a lot of Europe and southern Africa, and
we're still feeling the echoes of the Roman Empire.
I mean, if the Roman Empire hadn't have been, I don't think the world today would be anything like how it is.
It has its terrible bits, but its good bits. Yeah. I think, didn't they introduce chicken to Britain or something? But that's just an indication of how they changed. Yeah. They created a large global market where things got changed. Trade in most empires we think of being just at the point of a gun, and the worst bits about an empire are at the point of a gun.
Yeah, and that's what empires are remembered for, is the worst parts and not as what it did as a whole.
But often there's a trade element. Even with America and with Britain, there's a trade element. And some of that can be beneficial, but obviously not as beneficial as we're often told.
Yeah. So that's a bit about me. Stay tuned. I hope you enjoyed. There's going to be a lot more videos coming out in the next few weeks.
Yeah, we're going to talk you through a variety of things, from a few gaming tips, how to even get into wargaming, and
battle reports,
and just the thing that the linchpin to everything we do is we always just try and have fun. That's the thing. We're not trying to sell you anything. We're just trying to encourage other people to get in.
Because wargaming is about having fun. That's the point. That's why it's a hobby. Is for your enjoyment, not about making.
I've just forgot the reason I can be in this. Yeah. So yeah, it is about having fun. We gamemanship first, rule seconds is really how we like to. Do we say roll? How we roll the dice.
How we roll. Why not? Yeah, we're not very much into.
We're not competitive.
We're just.
In fact,
we're more narrative than competitive.
When we've been to campaigns, pretty much we've both been white.
Yeah, tournament.
Last tournament, you did better than me.
Yeah, I did better than you.
But I was pretty close to the bottom.
I was eighth in the
from the bottom, from the top of the bottom.
I was 8th place out of 15, so that wasn't that bad.
Yeah. So yeah, looking at things, trying to show some aspects of history wherever we can, because that kind of what motivates us. That pretty much a lot of our armies have got some basis, or we've developed the fluff a little bit, and you'll hear a lot about the fluff.
Yeah, we'll be hopefully doing videos about our personal armies and, you know, general stuff about that, because
half the fun we think is really because we don't have
creating your own chapter or paint scheme
and working out how it works, who the people in it are, what kind of motivates them. And often that what we do is, and pretty much like Games Workshop do, you go in and you beg, borrow and steal from history. Yeah. Ultramarines are basically the Roman Empire. Yeah. Is it the White Scars are basically the Mongols?
The Huns, yeah.
So we try and find Space Wolves are the Vikings.
The Vikings, yeah. Imperial Fists are the... Oh, who are they? Oh, they're really good at siege warfare.
I've always thought they were medieval, like a medieval army.
Yeah, medieval army, yeah.
Almost like Camelot type of thing.
Yeah. Because they were very much...
Know your history and it's amazing. And you hear, Games Workshop, you've stolen some stuff from Beagle.
Yeah.
And of course we love the clash between elite armies and
Hordes
armies, you know. Some like the Orcs where and again this echoes a lot in history where the Roman Empire was a small elite army, very well trained, very
it's not always about the numbers. It's
and they would come against these huge horde armies and they would hit them with with their iron might basically, and these huge numbers would kind of go, actually I don't think we know what we've signed up for, and they'd be like, run away. A good part of any good war game isn't just your firepower, and we'll talk about this when we look at wargaming. It isn't just your firepower, it's about morale. So basically when your units start to lose men, do you stand your ground or do you run away? And in actual fact, if you know history, this is a fundamental thing. There have been a lot of armies that were numerically superior, but the minute people start getting injured around it, people start to go, oh, I don't think I want to be here anymore.
Yeah.
Anyway, so please, most importantly, hit subscribe. Hit subscribe, otherwise you're a heretic. And we don't like heretics.
We don't like heretics.
We don't like heretics. So subscribe.
And for the greater good. Well, it won't be for you because you're a heretic, because you're not supporting the greater good, so you need to get out of here.
Heresy is an anti-imperial thing.
Yes, so get out. Chew. You're not supporting the Tau and greater good.
They don't have a concept of heresy in the Tau.
Well, they would for your Space Marines.
Anyway.
Thanks for watching.
And catch you later.
Bye.